Fútbol de Cuadros. Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Como resultado, el mejor de la tabla, pronósticos de la siguiente jornada y los protagonistas más relevantes. De la mano de...
And I think what they called offside was Derek coming back from what I perceived, I guess, they perceived as an offside position, and kind of looked like he blocked maybe Glad a little bit as he was trying to get to the ball. That's the only thing that I can pull out of it.
But and
I was just told it was offside, but when I watched it back, that's the only thing that could have been offside.
Clearly a very disappointing end, especially after Jovic comes through for the second game in a row.
Yeah, I thought it was, I don't know. I thought it was a rather disappointing day for most of it, just in terms of, I thought just from an energy level, a speed of play level, things like that, I felt it was just a little slow. It's, I thought first half we were playing a little bit underwater. Ball was not moving fast enough. We were taking chance with the ball, turning it over, then having to sprint back and transition defending. That's expensive energy wise when you're having to sprint backwards to defend because we're losing balls in bad places. I just felt like the game was slow. You know, I thought the guys had about 10 minutes between when we arrived at the stadium and when they had to go out to warm up because of a bus that was delayed. Nobody found it in their hearts to give us a few minutes to get our guys ready. So we were into it pretty fast, and I felt like we were pretty slow in the first half with everything. I just felt like we never caught speed. A little better in the second half. But again, a team that's, when you go slow, teams like this are going to put a lot of numbers behind the ball. You don't have a lot of space. You got to find your ways in through some tempo and some timing. And we did have a couple good looks in the second half. Sam, I think, had a really good look, and maybe one other good look. I just felt like the tempo by and large on the day was too slow for the day.
Thank you, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go with Josh Gussman.
Hey, Greg. Wanted to get your thoughts on the defense. Seemed to overall, I think, play a pretty good game, at least through the first parts of the match there, but allowed another set piece goal. What have you seen, or what did you see in this game that sort of maybe wasn't perfect for you?
Yeah, again, I think defensively, I thought in general we were fine. I mean, we had to manage some transitions because of the ridiculous losses of possession. Again, just the unnecessary, I guess not ridiculous, but unnecessary losses of possession. And then you're not organized. I felt like in the first half, guys were, again, not as careful with the ball. Not our awareness, I thought, wasn't where it needed to be where pressure was coming from, where our next pass needed to go. And again, we were losing balls that we shouldn't lose. Maybe resting a little bit in not great positions, and then we were having to manage some transitions. And I thought, by and large, obviously the guys did a good job of managing those transitions. That wasn't what killed us at the end of the day. As you said, it was a set piece goal that we gave up. I saw Bondi come for it, and he didn't get to it, which is problematic. If he's coming, he's got to get it. I don't know what else happened inside of it. I just remember that from the actual moment that it happened. But I thought by and large they defended well. The issue for me on the day, in terms of us not being more dangerous and us exposing ourselves in transition, was again the on the ball stuff it was too slow. It was too slow, and at times again we needed to keep things simple because I didn't think it was a very complicated game. We needed to keep things simple. We needed to keep things clean, and we needed to find the right tempo in the game to be able to unbalance them and be able to get in to create some chances. And I felt like it just never, well, not never, but not enough through the game did we find the right tempo with the ball.
I know you had two chance creators and Alvarez sort of tucking in there a little bit, and then Costa, I guess, playing a little more centrally, at least for some parts of that. Were you happy with the chance creation, or is that, again, just sort of how everything sort of devolves into the midfield and the loss of possessions?
Yeah, again, it's the chance creation is what do our chances look like, and I felt like our chances through good chunks of the game, we need to still get behind the opposition. We still need to get to the end line. We need to force defenders out of their block and out of their center back positions to open up the face of the goal. We need to do more to again, to stretch the back line. And I felt like too much of it was just in between the lines. We needed a little bit more in behind the line. I think, again, I thought their play, by and large, the way they combine off of each other is a good thing because it moves some pieces around, but that needs to then lead to us getting Julian behind the line, getting Raw, or getting Kevin behind the line, getting guys behind the line that make our chances a little bit better than if we're just curling balls in from distance or shooting from distance, but finding different and better balance in terms of the types of chances we create. I thought it was a little bit better in the second half. I thought we were able to get in between them. And part of it's just because at the start of the possessions, it's too slow and they're allowed to get so many numbers back and organized. And then it becomes a trick in breaking teams down. Some of the transitions, some of the direct balls, even at the end, started to create some problems just because they weren't able to constantly just get back and set in their blocks.
Oh, I'm sorry. If I have one more, I'm sorry. I was trying to hit the unmute button. Greg, just with the change in formation and how that sort of manifested itself over the last couple of minutes. I think you went to 3 in the back and sort of pushed up on the wings. Putting Joveljic in there as well seemed to also add a little more creativity for you guys. Is that because of the chance creation, because of the things stalling out? Is that something that maybe we're going to see more of?
Maybe. I mean, it just depends for me, it depends on sort of the image of the game. The way they were defending us, 3, setting up in a 3 could get us into the next line pretty easily. If we were only going to use 3, then there was the opportunity there to potentially have a second forward on the field. I felt like, we could have possession of the ball. They weren't able to really press us and stop us or take balls off of us. So I felt like we were able to back them up. And so using a second forward was something we could certainly do in this game. Again, so it's useful. I don't know if it's useful 100% of the time. Well, I do know. I don't think it's useful 100% of the time because there's some give and take there. You can go with 2 forwards. Sometimes you lose a little bit in your ability to possess, especially when another team is pressing you. There's some, like I said, give and take. But I felt like in the context of this game, we had enough of the ball and we were still going to have the ball that we could afford to have 2 guys working in front of the goal is with Joveljic and with Javi. And so it was an opportunity to get 2 on. And I thought, again, our chances started to get a little bit better after that.
Thanks, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
We'll close off with one more from Alex Reese. Alex, go ahead.
Hey, Greg. Eric seemed to come off injured with a knock. Is there any updates on how he's doing?
Yeah, I think it was might have been cramping, and I don't know that it's anything beyond that. I haven't checked in, to be honest with you. So, but I didn't feel like it was anything. I didn't hear anything that was something to be wary of, other than cramping.
And finally, you seem to move Efra a little bit more forward next to Chicharito, a little bit higher up the pitch. How did you feel that he did this game? You guys, for his time at the Galaxy, he seemed to move from wide to centrally at times. Do you feel like he did well playing a little bit more forward?
I did. I thought thought he did it at a solid night. Again, I was just trying to find different spaces for he and Douglas at times, and Efra started out wide. Douglas started more as the 10. We rotated them late in the first half just to get Efra inside a little bit more, and Douglas maybe for him to find a little more space in the wide position. So it was just to try to unlock the game a little bit more, slightly different personalities and the way they go about things. So I thought, again, the more times we can get Efra, Douglas, these guys on the ball facing the back line with guys making runs and working off of them, then that's a good scenario for us. But we got to get them the ball quicker. We got to get in between those lines a little bit faster. Today, that's where I felt like it was a little bit slow, and we weren't able to quite unbalance in the way that I think we should be able to.
Thank you, Greg. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time, Greg. Safe travels.
Yeah, thanks.
Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Como resultado, el mejor de la tabla, pronósticos de la siguiente jornada y los protagonistas más relevantes. De la mano de Sebastián González, Fabián Sanz, Martín Álvarez, Luis Miguel Íñiguez y Paulo Guevara. Todos los lunes y jueves en punto de las 20 horas. Horario de México. Fire Sport. Fútbol de cuadros. Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Como resultado, resultados, el mejor de la tabla, pronósticos de la siguiente jornada y los protagonistas más relevantes. De la mano de Sebastián González, Fabián Luján, Martín Álvarez, Luis Miguel Íñiguez y Paulo Guevara. Todos los lunes y jueves en punto de las 20 horas. Horario de México. Fire Sport. Fútbol de cuadros. Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Como resultado, el mejor de la tabla, pronósticos de la siguiente jornada y los protagonistas más relevantes. De la mano de Sebastián González, Fabián Luján, Martín Álvarez, Luis Miguel Íñiguez y Paulo Guevara. Todos los lunes y jueves en punto de las 20 horas. Horario de México. Fire Sport. Fútbol de cuadros. Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Como resultado, el mejor de la tabla, pronósticos de la siguiente jornada y los protagonistas más relevantes. De la mano de Sebastián González, Fabián Luján, Martín Álvarez, Luis Miguel Íñiguez y Paulo Guevara. Todos los lunes y jueves en punto de las 20 horas. Horario de México. Fire Sport. Fútbol de cuadros. Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Como resultado, el mejor de la tabla, pronósticos de la siguiente jornada y los protagonistas más relevantes. De la mano de Sebastián González, Fabián Luján, Martín Álvarez, Luis Miguel Íñiguez y Paulo Guevara. Todos los lunes y jueves en punto de las 20 horas. Horario de México. Fire Sport. Fútbol de cuadros. Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Como resultado, el mejor de la tabla, pronósticos de la siguiente jornada y los protagonistas más relevantes. De la mano de Sebastián González, Fabián Luján, Martín Álvarez, Luis Miguel Íñiguez y Paulo Guevara. Todos los lunes y jueves en punto de las 20 horas. Horario de México. Fire Sport. Fútbol de cuadros. Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Como resultado, el mejor de la tabla, pronósticos de la siguiente jornada y los protagonistas más relevantes. De la mano de Sebastián González, Fabián Luján, Martín Álvarez, Luis Miguel Íñiguez y Paulo Guevara. Todos los lunes y jueves en punto de las 20 horas. Horario de México. Fire Sport. Fútbol de cuadros. Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Como resultado, el mejor de la tabla, pronósticos de la siguiente jornada y los protagonistas más relevantes. De la mano de Sebastián González, Fabián Luján, Martín Álvarez, Luis Miguel Íñiguez y Paulo Guevara. Todos los lunes y jueves en punto de las 20 horas. Horario de México. Fire Sport. Fútbol de cuadros. Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Como resultado, el mejor de la tabla, pronósticos de la siguiente jornada y los protagonistas más relevantes. De la mano de Sebastián González, Fabián Luján, Martín Álvarez, Luis Miguel Íñiguez y Paulo Guevara. Todos los lunes y jueves en punto de las 20 horas. Horario de México. Fire Sport. Fútbol de cuadros. Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Como resultado, el mejor de la tabla, pronósticos de la siguiente jornada y los protagonistas más relevantes. De la mano de Sebastián González, Fabián Luján, Martín Álvarez, Luis Miguel Íñiguez y Paulo Guevara. Todos los lunes y jueves en punto de las 20 horas. Horario de México. Fire Sport. Fútbol de cuadros. Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Como resultado, el mejor de la tabla, pronósticos de la siguiente jornada y los protagonistas más relevantes. De la mano de Sebastián González, Fabián Luján, Martín Álvarez, Luis Miguel Íñiguez y Paulo Guevara. Todos los lunes y jueves en punto de las 20 horas. Horario de México. Fire Sport. Fútbol de cuadros. Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Como resultado, el mejor de la tabla, pronósticos de la siguiente jornada y los protagonistas más relevantes. De la mano de Sebastián González, Fabián Luján, Martín Álvarez, Luis Miguel Íñiguez y Paulo Guevara. Todos los lunes y jueves en punto de las 20 horas. Horario de México. Fire Sport. Fútbol de cuadros. Conoce todas las noticias de la Liga MX. Farex Sports presenta Cuarto Round, conducido por Cristian Goulet, Gustavo Sagaón. Novedades del mundo de las artes marciales mixtas. Técnicas del día a día, análisis de las últimas peleas y las que están próximas. Entrevistas a las estrellas del hoy y del mañana y opiniones de resultados de las peleas próximas. Todos los jueves, 9 p.m., horario de Farex Sports presenta Recta Final. Alex Cervera y Ricardo Pedraza Vega te comparten tendencias, resultados, estadísticas, calendarios y entrevistas del mundo del automovilismo. Todos los lunes y viernes, 9 p.m., horario de México. Farex Sports presenta La Jiribilla. Todo sobre el béisbol te comparten Alex Cervera y Aaron Schroeder Trujillo. Entrevistas con jugadores, directivos y relacionados con este deporte. Todos los lunes y viernes, 10 p.m., horario de México. Farex Sports presenta La Jiribilla. Todo sobre el béisbol te comparten Alex Cervera y Aaron Schroeder Trujillo. Entrevistas con jugadores, directivos y relacionados con este deporte. Todos los lunes y viernes, 10 p.m., horario de México. Farex Sports presenta La Jiribilla. Todo sobre el béisbol te comparten Alex Cervera y Aaron Schroeder Trujillo. Farex Sports presenta Set para Farex Sports. Aquí encontrarás toda la información del mundo del tenis. Te esperamos todos los martes en punto de las 5 p.m., horario de México. De la mano de Constanza Banzini y Julio Ray. En la línea de juego con Juan Pablo Farril, aquí tendrás análisis sobre los eventos deportivos, las probabilidades y tendencias del deporte, como la Liga MX, NBA, NFL, hockey de Estados Unidos y Canadá, y grandes ligas. De lunes a viernes, en punto de las 12 del día, Farex Sports.
We'll start with a question from Scott French. Scott, go ahead.
Hi, Sasha. Two things. One, just your view of everything with the goal and then it being waved off. And you guys put a lot of pressure on them, and we're only able to get off so many shots, so many things that challenge them. How did you see the way that you guys were attacking today?
Yeah, first with the goal that got waved off, it's a difficult one. I've only seen it back once very quickly. It's tough to digest, to see if Derek is really making a play on the ball and really obstructing. I think Justin Glad, I don't know. I think he definitely comes from an offside position. I don't think that's in dispute. So I don't know. That's a tough one. That one can go either way. And unfortunately, it didn't go our way this time. We can also look back at the LAFC game and, VAR helped us win that one in the end, and this one took it away. So these things all even out over the course of a season, in my opinion. Secondly, how we attacked, I think in the first half, we weren't really playing the way that we were supposed to be playing. And I think sometimes we're trying to hit the final pass too early and too often, and then it turns our game into a bit of a track meet of running back and forth. And against a team that's sitting back deep, you just have to be better with the ball and take more care of the ball and pass and pass and pass and pass them to death until something opens up, which I think we did really well in the last 30 minutes. I think the second half was a different type of game. Of course, they scored and they were defending their lead, but the way that we passed and moved and tried to get to the end line and tried to get balls into the box and definitely created some chances in the last 30 minutes. Unfortunately, we weren't able to score.
Thank you, Sasha.
We'll go with Josh.
Hey, Sasha, thanks for talking to us. Greg said that you guys had a little bus situation that got you to the game real late, and maybe had a little criticism for MLS only moving the game back 5 minutes. How much of that, obviously you're well traveled with this stuff, how much of that affects a game like this? It
was definitely annoying, that's for sure, because Some guys have different routines before the game, and they take longer to get their bodies ready, or their tape, or their treatment, or whatever they need before the game starts, and all that got shrunk down today. On the other hand, these are excuses if we're going to talk about altitude or being late to the game, and I don't like looking for excuses. So maybe we had a slow start to the game today, but ultimately, I think we did enough in the second half, I think, to get ourselves back in the game, and just unfortunately we weren't able to score.
On the scoring front, it's been one of the criticisms, I think, of this team, at least through the first 9 games now, that the chances created aren't being finished, or that there's a lack of chances created. With Greg sort of switching formations, going 2 forwards up, and then eventually going to a 3-man back line, obviously there were more chances there. Does a change of formation need to come, or where you guys sit in your base formation, is there enough chance creation out of that?
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about formations either. I think, often as the game happens, it dictates the way that you start to set up and find pockets tactically. I think in a game like this, where the other team takes the lead and they're starting to sit back deeper and deeper, that a second striker really helps. So I was happy with the 4-4-2 as the game went on, because it just created we were still able to create little overloads in midfield, and then as we got into the attack. So no matter what formation you're playing, we have to stick to our principles, and that's playing across the field, trying to create speed, getting to the end line, and creating chances. We haven't really had a game yet where we've really created good chance after good chance after good chance. We've also played against quite a few teams now who know how good we are with the ball, and they can't really press us high, so they end up sitting really deep. And that's the toughest to break down, is when there's a team that gets 10 guys behind the ball and sits deep, because then you don't really have a lot of space behind their back line, and we still have to threaten that space, even though it maybe gets shrunk down to only about 18 yards of space behind their back line. So these are things that when you're a good team with the ball, that you have to really master. And we're not there yet, but these are our principles, and we'll stick to them. And we just got to keep going and trying to keep improving at that.
Last question for me. With Jovic scoring, even if it didn't count, obviously looking back at the Nashville and what he was able to do in the final minutes there, doing it again here, even if it doesn't count, how have you seen his confidence grow, maybe just in the last 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, just in the last 10 days too. He was frustrated after the game against San Diego, because he played a pretty good game, but most of the chances fell to other guys, and so he was waiting for a good chance to score. He's a goal scorer. He's him, like Chicharito. They live and breathe goals, and so I have to give him a lot of credit, because he's kept a positive attitude through everything. It's not easy being stuck on the bench behind Chicharito, who for the last 1.5 years has been scoring a lot of goals and doing so well for our team. So his attitude has been fine. He's kept the respect for the coaches and his teammates. He's kept working. He puts a lot of work in the gym that nobody sees, and does a lot of finishing in training too. So when he gets his chances, we know that he's a guy that can bury them. So he's just got to keep working. When he keeps getting his chances, try to keep making them pay.
Thanks, Sasha. Appreciate it.
Sasha, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us, and safe travels.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sasha.
And that concludes our
Para Sports presentó Fútbol de Cuates con Sebastián González, Martín Álvarez,